Podcast Network Asia.
You are listening to First Metro Securities Philippine Stock Market Weekly podcast, where we feature timely and relevant discussions on the Philippine stock market and the economy in the hope of providing you investing and trading guidance. Here's your host.
Hi investors, this is Anjz from First Metro Securities, and you're tuned in to Market Bites. Today, we're talking about Puregold Price Club Inc. or PGOLD. Let's start with the headline. We are reiterating our buy call on Puregold with target price raised to 60 pesos. That's about 30.58% upside as of June 2026 close. What's interesting here is not just the upside, but the re-rating story. Puregold is currently trading at roughly 10.5 times PE for FY26F, which is actually slightly below sector average despite having pretty strong fundamentals. So the argument is simple. This business probably deserves a higher multiple than what the market is giving it today. So just to discuss, we argue that Puregold is the best proxy to the Philippine consumption story, with attributes no other listed Philippine consumer name fully matches. These are, first, it's a pure domestic consumption play. This is as close as you get to a quote-unquote pure Philippine consumption story. Puregold generates 100% of its revenue locally, with over 242 billion pesos in sales in 2025. And because its product offerings are essential goods, you're talking about groceries, staples, everyday items, its earnings are actually a pretty good proxy for household spending trends. Also important to note is that Puregold serves all income segments. You have here Puregold-only stores, targeting the mass market and resellers. It caters basically to your low to middle income households. And then your SNR targets upper middle and premium consumers. So you're effectively capturing broad-based demand across the economy. Second, resilient earnings profile. Earnings are defensive but still growing. Growth is driven by a mix of the following. Same-store sales growth, which is typically at the low to mid-single digits. Store expansion targets is around 60 new Puregold-only stores this 2026. And there's also continued SNR rollout with around 2 to 3 new SNR warehouses targeted annually. And there's also sustained supplier support and trade spending from F&B manufacturers. Mix improvement as SNR contribution rises, which has higher margins and much higher store productivity. And lastly, operating leverage as new stores mature. On competition, from our perspective, Puregold still looks pretty well positioned, even as the retail space gets even more crowded. If you look at Puregold-only stores, they've held up quite strongly against newer challenger formats like Dali, Alphamart, and Osave, mainly because they don't fully replicate Puregold's full grocery offering. In the warehouse club space, SNR is still leading. Landers expansion has slowed, and while macro is coming back, we don't expect any immediate disruption given SNR's first mover advantage and limited prime locations in major cities. So overall, we see Puregold not just defending but potentially growing its market share, especially in today's inflationary environment. Larger players like Puregold have the skill to keep prices competitive, maintain supplier support, and deliver value for money. That skill essentially acts as a moat as consumers become more value conscious and consolidate spending toward trusted, efficient retailers. As of end 2025, Puregold ranks among the country's top grocery players in the Philippines based on Euromonitor data. To add, based on our channel checks, Puregold is viewed by some suppliers as one of their largest customers by volume. Third, best-in-class balance sheet. Puregold is sitting on about 36.9 billion pesos in net cash, the largest within our consumer coverage, supported by a swift cash conversion cycle and strong free cash flow generation. That's pretty rare. So what does that mean in practice? They can keep expanding even when rates are high. They don't need to worry about financing costs, and they can opportunistically acquire or invest during downturns. And from an investor perspective, this also opens the door to higher dividends over time. Now let's talk about the re-rating angle. Puregold trades at 10.5 times or 9.8 times PE on FY26-27F earnings, trading at a slight discount to Philippine sector average excluding EMI. At our target price of 60 pesos, the valuation implies about 15.2 times and 14.4 times PE on FY26 FY27F earnings, which is above historical average, but still justified, given, again, the best-in-class balance sheet, strong free cash flow generation, solid earnings growth, and clear growth runway compared to its peers. Of course, there are risks to consider, which are number one, consumer slowdown, if inflation hits purchasing power harder than expected. Number two, competition, especially from smaller format players. Number three, execution risk, so a ramp up of new stores. And lastly, number four, cost pressures. Higher OPEX could compress margins. So, to wrap it up, that's a buy call on Puregold at 60 pesos target price. And that's it for today's episode. We hope this has been helpful. If there are any topics or stocks you'd like us to cover in future episodes, just send us a message on our socials and we'd love to hear from you. You can find First Metro Securities on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and at FirstMetroSec on TikTok. Thank you everyone for tuning in and see you on the next episode.
Thanks for listening to First Metro Securities Philippine Stock Market Weekly podcast. Don't forget to follow us to get first dibs on our new episodes. For more up-to-date market news and info, exclusive content, and the opportunity to connect with your fellow Filipino investors and traders, join facebook.com/groups/FirstMetroSec and be part of the FirstMetroSec family.
FirstMetroSec is providing this podcast as a general market commentary. Reference to any specific security, product, or entity do not constitute as an offer or a solicitation of an offer to buy or sell any financial instruments or to participate in any particular trading strategy. The statements, comments, views, or opinions expressed by the hosts are subject to change without notice, and FirstMetroSec is under no obligation to update, amend, change, or correct any of the statements, comments, views, or opinions expressed. The statements, comments, views, and opinions expressed by the guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the view of FirstMetroSec. FirstMetroSec disclaims any liability arising from reliance on or reference to any information obtained in this podcast.
The views and opinions expressed by the podcast creators, hosts, and guests do not necessarily reflect the official policy and position of Podcast Network Asia, the hosts of the program, or other programs of the network. Any content provided by the people on the podcast are of their own opinion and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, or anyone or anything.